first of all, I must excuse my wife. She's had 2 Rain total body
I
fuel
have.
today,
You guys, I'm like popping
which is
up.
600 milligrams of coffee, which basically is 6 cups of coffee.
Yeah, I'm off the chain at the moment. What is up, my Nem fam? So we are sitting or standing in front of food. So if you guys want to see exactly what I eat during especially our carb cycling challenge that we have going on January 3rd.
The new one starts for all you holiday people with remorse. Full of remorse.
Jonathan's
remorse
so
and
negative. So if you guys want to see what that looks like for me, then keep watching. I have Jonathan in this.
The nutritionist.
Well, I wouldn't say nutritionist.
No, we can't say nutritionist because that would be illegal. I am not a nutritionist.
Damn. Okay, anyways, let's get into the meat of this entire video, which, like Jonathan said, we are coming up on to a brand new year. 2020 is approaching, and our carb cycling challenge, the way that we eat is
so
what
for
we're
those that are in
showing
the
you.
carb cycling group, the number one question we get is, what do you guys eat? What do you eat? Even though during carb cycling, we give you the blueprints of what to eat. So first thing we give you guys is we give you guys your macro breakdown, right? We give you a formulation of how to figure out how many macros, macronutrients of protein, carbs, and fat. So you guys hear macros, that's what that is.
And each person, you guys will learn that for you. So like, there's not a one.
No, it's not cookie cutter nonsense.
Everyone, when you guys sign up, you understand what we're talking about. But we wanted to also do this video so that you guys.
What they get. Let's tell them what they get.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Tell them what they get.
So first of all, I must excuse my wife. She's had 2 Rain total body fuel
I have.
today,
You guys, I'm like popping up.
which is 600 milligrams of coffee, which basically is 6 cups of coffee.
Yeah, I'm off the chain at the
So-
moment.
so
Oh my God, no! You know what? All y'all are gonna come for me because they're gonna say I'm cutting you off. But I'm just having a lot of caffeine.
Yeah. Anyway, back on track.
Go ahead.
So not only do you get customized macros for you, but we give you a bunch of different cookbooks, right? So we say these are the foods you should stay away from. These are the foods to go for. And then we give you multiple cookbooks to show you what to cook, how to eat. But I totally understand that it's very, very different to have a cookbook and hear as opposed to see visually. So visually, this is what the meals look like that Natalie and myself eat, and we'll break down every single one. We have the calorie content, we have the protein, the carbs, and the fats. So we basically are showing you.
Don't let him fool you though, because we don't eat like all pretty like this. He just broke out the china.
Oh yeah, I broke out the fine china because it's all about presentation.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so now.
So for, I think the first meal to talk about, because it's like the easiest, I think, for everybody at home, because I feel like chicken, a vegetable.
A lot of grilled chicken breast is going to be,
Yeah.
and the reason, I'll tell you the reason why we go for grilled chicken breast, right? It's very trendy in like fitness, like grilled chicken breast, but you don't know why. And I'll explain to you why. Because in a small amount of grilled chicken breast, you get a lot of protein with minimal to no fat and no carbs, right? So it's a great place to start with. It's a great protein centerpiece, if you will, for each meal. Now, each meal, I like to have no less than 30 grams of protein. No less. That should be the bare minimum of protein all of you guys are taking in. Myself, I take in about 40 to 45. Natalie, 30. So we just picked 30 because that's kind of a good spot for most people. But for myself, I'm about 40, 45. Natalie is 30. I do not like to go any less than 30 grams of protein. For those of you who know or have heard me talk about leucine, I've had a whole different discussion on that. But essentially, in really, really layman's rough terms, is that 30 grams of protein is going to hit your amino acid profile for muscle synthesis. We can get into that later, but let's not get derailed.
That'll be a whole other video. Basically, today is all about food. So, like Jonathan said, I take in no less than 30 grams of protein with each and every meal. So, each one of these plates has 30 grams of protein on it. Minimum. But we did that also just so that you guys can visually see. So, this first plate is grilled chicken breast, free range.
And so that's 30 grams of protein.
Gonna come from me about that. Then we have some broccoli, and then we have some mashed yams.
So now, the profile of this is 30 grams of protein. So it's 350 calories total, right? 30 grams of protein, 35 carbs, and 12 grams of fat. The fat's mostly coming from what we use in the oil inside of the the mashed yams. That's really it.
Yeah.
It's the oils using to cook. Because the chicken has like 1.5 grams of fat. Now we always like, especially when it comes to fat, we err on the side of caution, right? If we're thinking that it might be like a tablespoon, well, if it's about 3/4 of a tablespoon, we'll just say a tablespoon, right? That's kind of how we go. So essentially that's what's going on here. Carbohydrates, I don't like to go over 35 grams of carbs per meal because when you're carb cycling, obviously your carb count, it's not low carb, it's a lower carb, so you can really burn through your carbs fast.
Yeah.
The fat, we probably overshot our fat on this, but once again, I'd rather err on the side of caution with fat because fat can catch up on you.
For sure, especially when you're mixing, your fats and protein and carbs.
So now if I were to tell you guys, okay, you guys can have, a scoop of yams and you guys can have 5 ounces of chicken breast and some broccoli, that sounds in your mind like, that sounds like crap.
Yeah.
But when you see what it looks like, it's actually a really, really beautiful meal.
For sure. Plus, you guys, also the name of the game is always to prepare things like ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
But also what is really exciting too about, like for me and during our carb cycling challenge is, excuse me.
Oh my goodness. Just having a caffeine overdose over here.
No, but honestly what has really been so awesome is our private Facebook group, because there's so many people that are interacting with one another and giving their recipes that they eat.
Huge.
So I think that's, not only is it super helpful and beneficial because we all have different taste buds, right? So that's why I fell in love with the carb cycling challenge. Not the challenge itself, but carb cycling, and why I wanted to share it with you guys is because I had a really unhealthy relationship with food, and I could never find something where I felt like it was something that was attainable and longevity-wise.
It hits all diet modalities, basically,
Yes.
right? So if you're a paleo person, these two are purely paleo, right? If you're like, I'm not really paleo, I'm cool with some rice, I'm cool with some gluten-free pasta, we have all your bases covered. But now, to backtrack a second, what Natalie was talking about with our private Facebook group, for those of you who don't know, when you join a carb cycling challenge, no matter which one, you get lifetime access to a private Facebook group of yourself, us, and a bunch of like-minded carb cycling people.
I just worked out.
I'm telling you, no more caffeine for this
I
one.
just worked out.
But let me get back on it. So essentially, in that group, we go live every week. We answer your questions live in real time. The group posts what they're eating, their results, their workouts. It's like a support group. It's really, really cool.
Yes, and this is just a very small slice of what we eat, because obviously there's snacks. That's like a whole nother video. That way you guys aren't watching an hour-long video. But this is something that is just like quick, easy to show.
And so, for example, like this one right here, this is 370.
Now look who's cutting somebody off.
This is you've overdosed on caffeine and you're rambling. So this plate right here, right? This is 370 calories. It's 30 grams of protein, obviously from chicken breast again. It's 35 carbs. We got the carbs from gluten-free pasta. Now, for those of you that are eating paleo, you stay away from pastas and from rice and from beans. But for those of you who don't, that's fine. Here's some gluten-free pasta. And then fat, once again, we've erred on the side of caution with the oil, the olive oil used in this, and we've said 12 grams of fat. So 30 grams of protein, as we know, is our base minimum. 35 grams of carbs, which we don't like to go over, and 12 grams of fat, which is kind of where we want to stay in our fats, and we kind of err on the side of caution. So that's that.
So this is like a nice little chicken pasta. This is something that I would have at dinner, because for me, I like to eat more of my carbs. I like to save certain things towards dinner time, just because I find it more satisfying for me. But that's just me in particular. So this is for like dinner, right? So we have meals right here. We have chicken, we have a nice little burger over here, we have turkey chili over here.
Break down this one we got going on.
So this is a grass-fed burger, and it's on top of some spinach, plus you have your
roasted yams. We roasted those in coconut oil, and then we grilled this zucchini in coconut oil too.
Yes.
So it's really delicious. So we got 35 grams of protein, 30 carbs, which is from here essentially, and then 12 grams of fat. The fat's from the grass-fed beef and the oil that we used.
And I always think of it too, like these are super, super awesome carbs too, because obviously you have, and this will be another video we talk about, because some of the snacks that I do eat are carbs, but not like this. I mean, a vegetable to me
Vegetable
Jonathan has put in
carbs,
my head
we
where it's,
count
like,
we
super
count
good.
all carbs. We don't do net carbs.
Oh, yeah, no.
I can get into that at a later date, but I think net carbs are nonsense. We do total carbs. But carbs from vegetables, I'm a lot more lenient with than, let's say, a carb from, for example, a pasta or a
Yeah.
potato.
Yeah.
And I can do a whole video about why
That'll
that
be,
is.
yeah, exactly. I feel like that's like what people really want. Like all of you guys also said that I needed to be quiet and let Jonathan speak because he is super knowledgeable. Which you are.
Thank you.
And then this last one is turkey chili, which is awesome. So the thing in our like house where I'm really, really lucky is that Jonathan is a very good cook. So this is where the Facebook group comes into play also, because you start to get really creative and make recipes that you didn't even think about putting certain foods together. So before I even got together with Jonathan, like I didn't really look at turkey like, I looked at it really like bland and plain. And then it totally doesn't have to be. Once you put, you know, a little bit of love in there.
Yes.
It's
All the
awesome.
accoutrement.
Yes.
So let's give the breakdown of what this is.
So we have 30 grams of protein. This entire plate is 370 carbs. Or, I mean, sorry, 370 calories. And then carbs right here is 35 grams. And then the fat is 12.
So once again, that's 370 calories for the whole plate.
Yeah.
35 carbs. We don't like to go over 35 carbs, as you guys know. Protein, 30 grams of protein. That's pretty much our sweet spot. 12 grams of fat, which for this is a little bit different because it is ground turkey meat, even though it's lean. It's lean, ground, hormone-free turkey that does have some fat in it, obviously, but the oil that we use, obviously, we hit that. So what it's made from is hormone-free turkey. Got some cilantro, jasmine rice. I like jasmine rice a lot because of the texture and the way that it kind of binds together. So for those that are rice lovers,
I love this one.
yeah, jasmine rice is probably our favorite. A little pro tip too, we didn't do it on this one, but we do it sometimes, and it actually adds a little bit more protein to it with no fat, no carbs, is when we do our rice, instead of boiling it in water, we'll buy chicken stock and we'll boil it in chicken stock. So it gives it that nice chicken flavor and adds a little bit extra protein with no carbs and no fat.
Yeah. So this is basically a realistic day for me, meal-wise.
Yes.
This is not including any snacks or anything
And
like
shakes.
that, or shakes.
So the
That's
first
another
thing people
video.
that are watching this, that are thinking, okay, well, Jonathan, he looks like he's about 230 pounds. He's probably taking in 225 grams of protein a day. You guys would be 100% correct. So this basically is 100.
Like me.
This is more Natalie. But this is 120 grams of protein, right? So where do I get that extra 100 grams of protein? I get them through hydrolyzed whey isolate shakes. I've talked about the difference between hydrolyzed whey isolate, and other forms of protein powders before. I can do it again in another video. But the point is, in order for me to hit my 220 grams of protein and my macros on carb cycling, I do need to incorporate 2 protein shakes throughout the day. Each shake, I do 2 scoops of hydrolyzed whey isolate. That's 50 grams of protein in each shake. I do that once in the morning. I do the other one probably after my workout, depending on how my day goes. And I add each of those, I add a scoop of a cup of frozen blueberries, which is 35 grams of carbs. So that's how I get my extra 100 grams of protein to compensate for the lack of protein just in getting that. How many grams of protein are you taking in?
I take in 140. So this right here, I need a shake as well. So that's also why during the carb cycling challenge, you guys also, like, each one of your numbers is going to be different than your best friend, your boyfriend, your husband, your wife, because everybody's body is very different. So that means what I take in and what I consume is completely different than what Jonathan consumes. This is just something to kind of show you guys simplistically what a typical day looks like food-wise and meal-wise for me. Because obviously Jonathan has to take in not only way more carbs, way more fat, and way more protein than I would, but this is not only my typical meal structure, but the only thing that is really lacking is my protein intake, because this right here is 120. I need to take in 40 more. No.
25 more. 25 more. So it's a shake.
Which is a shake, which is perfect because I usually like to have my shake and a little bit of carb right after I work out. So that's where I put my next.
Smart. And then if you're a bigger guy that doesn't like, so like I said, this is something for all dietary modalities.
Yeah.
Some people don't even like getting it through shakes. They like to take it through whole food. Awesome. Double the protein, double the protein, double the protein, and you're there.
But that's why we fell in love with doing the carb cycling, is just because it was something that me and him found where we both tried paleo, we've tried keto, we've tried even vegan. Every really diet out there, But I feel like this one is just like the most longevity wise.
Also because we're not saying that those diets are bad. You can you can hit your numbers that we give you through any of those dietary modalities, literally every single one. The only one where it's going to be very difficult, you can do it, and that's why we wrote the plant-based ebook that you get with it. It's difficult to do it when you're pure vegan. Pure vegans have it harder, but they can do it.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to give them a little bit extra help, so we wrote a whole ebook just for vegans.
Plus, I feel like this way is not all or nothing, and I think that's really important when you're looking at food, especially if you have like some like weird relationship with food, like myself. So that way you lessen your binge moment. So this is just a little glimmer of what a typical day of my eating looks like, and we just wanted to kind of throw this one together so that you guys could kind of get a feel visually at even how much food I'm eating. Also,
portions are huge. That's a great point to make, right? It gives you an idea of how much portioning should be.
But anyways, you guys, so hopefully you enjoyed that. Yes, I was rambling because I'm on my second reign, but you know, that's what happens, and we're married, so it's allowed. But I hope you guys enjoyed a little glimpse of each meal and each breakdown of the protein, carb, and fat. And get ready because January 3rd is right around the corner, and we want to go into 2020 feeling and looking our best.
One thing I will say too, if you guys are interested in carb cycling for this challenge, I would sign up now because basically it starts January 3rd, and when do you think we're going to get 90% of our signups? It's going to be after that meal, Christmas meal.
Thanksgiving.
I was just saying Thanksgiving.
I know.
But after that Christmas meal, everyone's gonna feel bloated and gross and drunk, and they're gonna basically sign up the next day, and it does sell out. We want to keep spots limited, so we're able to interact with you guys correctly. So if you want to do this, I'd sign up sooner rather than later, so you don't get blocked out by things.
And of course, I will always put the link and everything below. That way it's easy breezy for you guys. So
and let's give a shout out to everybody that's watching this from our private Facebook group. You guys are killing it. We're going to go into our third challenge. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for always leaving such amazing support for each other. That's the major thing. You guys help each other out every single week.
Oh my God, we didn't even say there are winners. You get prizes with this challenge.
See, I don't like that part though. I don't feel like I should give you a prize for you staving off type 2 diabetes, right? I feel like that's a prize enough. You keeping your foot is the prize. But yes, we do offer cash prizes and fun stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, we love you guys, and thank you as always for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.
Bye guys.